This is the fourth web event of this small society. Unending COVID-19 pandemic has compelled us to meet online. But if you really analyze, these virtual web meetings are no less than real or physical ones. The advantages are you have not to go anywhere, you are attending from home, no special arrangements required, almost it is inexpensive for us, and it can be organized even at short notice, and it is more convenient for women of the society members. I welcome both the eminent speakers of the day, Dr. Sutanshu Mathur and Dr. Mamta Singh. मैं समझता हूँ कि आज अगर इन दोनों स्पीकर्स के टॉक को अगर हम लोग ध्यान से सुन लेंगे तो we will solve all our problem of ocular surface. Both of them, in spite of their pre-scheduled engagements, spared their time to be here to enlighten us today. I welcome all the chairpersons, program coordinators, panelists on the SOS web platform, and above all, our honorable guest panelists, Dr. K.S. Gupta, who is Vice President to EOS, Dr. Arvind Kumar, immediate past President of EOS, Dr. Milind Kumar, President-elect, and Dr. Pranav Ranjan, Vice President 1, and Dr. B.S. Jha, Member Scientific Committee, BOS. Because of your presence, today's session will be more interactive. We can have 5 minutes or even more interactive session after each talk. Hope after this web event, everybody will be wiser. This society is obliged to people from Ajanta Pharma for their generous technical support. Welcome everybody. Now I request our senior member, Dr. Deepak Kumar, to please introduce our first speaker, Dr. Mamta Singh. Thank you. Dr. Deepak Kumar, please.
Thank you, Dr. Rumta. I am here to introduce and present Dr. Mamta Singh. Dr. Mamta Singh is well known to everybody. She is an alumni from RMCH RIMS in 2004, did DO at RIU Chennai in 2008, DNB at Vadodara TVTI Hospital Eye Institute from 2010 to 12, fellowship in cornea at Ahmedabad, then Nagari Eye Hospital, she joined there in 2012 and 13. More than 100 PKs she practiced there and DSCK 5. And since 2017, she is at PMCH as senior resident. And she is doing very good in cornea and Bihar. And so far, eye banking and keratoplasty is concerned, Mamta is a known name in Bihar.
All over the internet. Dialing का क्या मतलब?
आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ आवाज आ रही है.
डायलिंग
तो पता नहीं है.
कैसा है?
बहुत पॉपुलर है.
Now I'll request Dr. Mamta to please share screen. And Dr. Vibhuti Sinha probably is there. आपका वीडियो नहीं आ रहा विभूति जी.
Shall I start, sir?
Yeah.
And my screen is visible to everyone?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Deepak, sir. Thank you for the kind words, and I'm very thankful to Sahabar Ophthalmological Society and
Slightly loudly.
Okay. Yeah. I'm particularly thankful to Rumta sir and Sahabar Ophthalmological Society for this opportunity. I will be talking about ocular allergy and the role of immunomodulators in its treatment. 1 minute. Yeah. Yeah. As we all understand, allergic conjunctivitis is affecting a very large population in our society. And we did a survey last year in Bihar on allergic conjunctivitis. Based on this survey, we came to this conclusion that nearly 30% of the OPD volume in summer season is found by these allergic conjunctivitis patients. And this was the response of 43.5% of. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, this was the response of 43.5% of the practitioners. But in other season, most of the practitioners, that is nearly 52.17%, they had this opinion that these patients, they form less than 10% of the OPD volume. So we can see a very clear-cut seasonal variation here. Whenever a case of red eye comes to our clinic, and if you are talking in terms of allergic conjunctivitis, we need to deal with certain questions first. Is this given red eye is a case of allergic conjunctivitis truly? If it is, what type of allergic conjunctivitis it is? And what should be the next step of management? So coming to the first question, there are certain common conditions which can have this kind of presentation. The common ones are viral conjunctivitis, where a patient develop or get serous discharge, chemosis, SPKs, subconjunctival hemorrhage, and similarly lymphadenopathy, etc. There would be certain features suggestive of this disorder. Then in bacterial conjunctivitis, which is kind of very rapid in onset, patient gets purulent discharge, very painful, and many of the family members, they get affected at the same time. Dry eye mostly affect a separate age group, but now with computer vision syndrome and everything, this is getting blurred actually. And these patients, they have the symptoms of more of foreign body sensation rather than irritation and itching, which is more in allergic conjunctivitis. There are certain associated disorders with dry eye, and there are certain specific tests which are meant to diagnose dry eye. If we talk about episcleritis, these patients, they complain of mild pain or vague pain, not of irritation and itching particularly. And if we look carefully through the slit lamp, the level of congestion would be slightly below the conjunctiva. That is, the episcleral vessels will be involved there. In allergic conjunctivitis, there are separate features which we will see later. So if we have concluded that this particular case is of allergic conjunctivitis, we need to know what kind of allergic conjunctivitis it is. This can be broadly divided in three parts: simple allergic conjunctivitis, vernal, and atopic. Simple can be further divided as seasonal and perennial. So if we want to differentiate all these, in simple allergic conjunctivitis, there will not be any corneal involvement. Patient will have irritation, itching, minimal, conjunctival involvement can be seen, papillae can be seen. But in contrast, VKC, there would be a specific type of papillae, that is cobblestone papillae, or other features like Horner Stranta spots and mucous ropey discharge that can be seen. If we talk about AKC, in contrast to VKC, in AKC, we get more of lower lid involvement. There would be features of fibrosis also associated. It can be there. There can be associated dermatitis.
Others, please mute yourself.
There can be associated dermatitis in these cases, and in many of these atopic keratitis conjunctivitis cases, we get the family history of allergic disorders, or the patient himself can have allergic rhinitis or other allergic problem associated. So this is how we differentiate one from another. A little more about vernal keratoconjunctivitis, because this is pretty common. It is mostly bilateral, recurrent, can be seasonal or perennial, mostly affects young population. Males are affected more. And as per our survey, itching was the most common symptom, followed by redness, irritation, and discharge. As I said, in these cases, we get to see a ropey discharge, and patient actually picks up those, he says that I can pick up the thread-like discharge. So that is one of the very characteristic features. When it comes to signs, the signs can be conjunctival or the corneal signs. Conjunctival again can be distinguished as palpebral, limbal, and mixed. According to the LVPI survey in India, it is mostly the mixed form which is very common. Then, in 36% of the cases, they have this chronic perennial presentation. And there is a lesser association with atopy and systemic allergy in these cases. And this is important because if we are planning to write like systemic anti-allergics in these cases, this is something we should keep in our mind again. Coming to conjunctival signs, I'm not going to go into the details, but these three signs, the cobblestone papilla, Horner Stranta spots, and gelatinous hypertrophy of the limbus, these three are associated with activity of disease. That is, if the disease is active, these can be more prominent. But perilimbal pigmentation, as has been noticed or reported by Dr. Srinivasan Roy in the year 2004, this has nothing to do with the disease activity. Why this is important? Because many of the times parents ask, okay, this muddy kind of appearance, will this go off? Actually, it has nothing to do with activity of disease as such. It persists even when the disease is present. So it is very difficult to say whether it will go off or not, but in most of the cases, this persists. So that is what we should be aware about. Corneal signs, this SPK-like features seen in vernal keratitis. This is known as keratitis epithelialis vernalis's of L-Togby. This is lipid deposition, waxing and waning. It's not permanent. This goes off, and this is arcus-like structure known as pseudogerontoxon. Shield ulcer is like horizontal oval ulcer, shield-shaped ulcer, which is seen mostly in the upper half of cornea or in the palpebral region, and it corresponds to a prominent papillae here. So this, if we are seeing a shield ulcer, we should just try to invert and see the lid also. That is really important. So once we know what kind of allergic conjunctivitis we are dealing with, what should be our next step of management? We need to know what kind of, or what is the grade of allergic response this patient is having. The grade of allergy can be differentiated into mild, moderate, severe, and blinding. In mild variety, again, there will not be any corneal involvement. Patient will have irritation, itching, and there will be just conjunctival feature. In moderate and severe, the idea to differentiate is this will have micro erosions or SPKs. This will have frank epithelial erosion. This will have limbal affection in less than 180 degree, and this will have affection affecting more than 180 degree. So that is how differentiate moderate and severe. In blinding, we just need to remember two: shield ulcer and limbal deficiency. These are the feature of blinding disorder. This is important to know because we would be really very, aggressive with the treatment in blinding disorder. And then we need to know what kind of presentation this patient is having, whether he is having intermittent disease or chronic disease. So if a patient leaves the treatment and within 1 month of stopping the treatment, if he gets it back again, or he starts getting the symptom, that means the patient is having a chronic disease. In intermittent disease, the patient will be disease-free at least for 2 to 3 months without medication. This is important because depending on the history, we'll start the treatment. If in chronic form, we need to have a treatment pattern which we can continue for a very long time. There are multiple treatment options, starting with avoiding the allergens, lubricants, antihistaminics, mast cell stabilizers, or the dual acting, different mode of steroids, and the immunomodulators. I will be talking about immunomodulators mainly. So why there is a need of immunomodulators when we have something very potent like steroid? Immunomodulators actually are agents which alter the normal immune pathways, and they are not associated with any of the side effects reported with steroid like posterior subcapsular cataract. In VKC, actually, there is a 2% of glaucoma because of steroid use. And they are not associated with secondary infection, which is one of the important side effect or adverse effect of prolonged steroid use. Immunomodulators, they do not have any demonstrable serious adverse effect, and whatever adverse effects are there, they are pretty easily reversible. And we can continue a long-term treatment with this. In allergic conjunctivitis, mainly we are using cyclosporin and tacrolimus, the market available preparations, these two are. And both of them, they actually check interleukin 2 transactivation, and ultimately the T cell activation is stopped, which is very important in this inflammatory cascade. If we talk about cyclosporin and tacrolimus, both of them are lipophilic molecule. The problem is because of their lipophilic property, we need to have a oil-based solution, and mostly we are using castor oil, sometimes olive oil also. This oil-based preparation is responsible for multiple complications like lid skin maceration, burning, blurring, etc., which is very common with these two. That is the reason why patient complains of these two. And because of this oil and water coefficient difference over the ocular surface, absorption of this molecule over the ocular surface is a big problem. And whatever advancement or research is going on in this direction is basically to make it more available to the ocular surface, to make it more comfortable to the patient. Then comes topical tacrolimus. Topical tacrolimus in India is available only as ointment form, and this is available in two concentration, 0.03% and 0.1%. These are some of the market available preparation, Restasis and Immudrops. These two are the uniform forms of cyclosporin. Then comes 0.05%, 0.1%, and 2%. 2% cyclosporin is only available from Orolab, that is Orospirin. Then comes tacrolimus, which is available as 0.03 and 0.1%. The different adverse effect of topical tacrolimus and topical cyclosporin is most of the cases just the burning sensation. So how to deal with it? If we are talking about tacrolimus, most of the patients with cyclosporin, they are pretty okay. With tacrolimus, they complain. So initially how I suggest them, or what I suggest them, is to put the ointment over the lid margin first, not directly in the fornices. In the first week at least, and gradually they get used to it. And otherwise, most of the other side effects are pretty okay. For 20-30 seconds, they complain of burning, then it gets better. When it comes to cyclosporin, only one case which I would like to mention, actually she was a doctor and she was a case of dry eye. She was using topical cyclosporin for a very long time, and in the meantime, she had her pregnancy, and then fetus had this teratogenic effect. And looking at the history and everything, probably cyclosporin, topical cyclosporin was a probable cause. So this is something we need to keep in our mind when we are prescribing this in young patients. With tacrolimus, if I need to talk about, they have been associated with development of lymphadenopathy. So if one or two palpable lymph nodes are there, we should keep our mind open. We should not apply it in areas with active viral or bacterial infection. Like if anything, any problem is there in the periocular skin, like I have written it here, skin barrier defect, like ichthyosis or anything which is infective disorder is there, do not prescribe tacrolimus simply. There is a potential risk of lymphoma and skin cancer, has not been reported, but this is definitely a potential risk. Then increased sensitivity to effect of alcohol. If a patient is having full and then he uses tacrolimus, there is a chance of him developing skin flushes and feeling hot, etc. Then increased sensitivity to light, and that is the reason we ask the patient to use tacrolimus mostly at night time or HS dose. Then come some of the common questions which come in our mind when we are trying to prescribe any immunomodulator. The first question arises, where to use them. So the first thing we need to be very cautious about is age. I would not prescribe immunomodulators in any patient less than 2 years of age, because the immune mechanism as such has not been completely developed there. Any chronic allergy conjunctivitis, as I said, how to know chronic? If the patient is disease-free and then stops treatment, but starts getting the symptom within 1 month again, then it becomes chronic. In those cases, actually those are the ideal cases. Then allergic conjunctivitis associated with dry eye. Cyclosporin has been got the FDA approval for dry eye management. So probably I will go for cyclosporin in these cases, definitely go for these cases. Then ocular allergy associated with chronic surface inflammation, that is important. In those cases, one can go for tacrolimus or cyclosporin. Then comes the question, when to start it. If the patient is coming to us for the first time, just assess the ocular surface health. If there are signs of chronic surface insult, like if the patient has peripheral corneal vascularization or some sort of limbal stem cell deficiency, or those peripheral small scars are there, that means the patient is having this problem for a very long time. Those are the cases where we can directly going to start it. Always check for the condition of lid. If the patient is having so much of signs over the lid, definitely those are the cases for these immunomodulators. We can definitely start it as a steroid sparing agent if the patient has been on treatment with us or from anywhere, then in those cases. Then we need to understand how do we want to use it. If we are planning to use it as a primary agent, if the patient is not very symptomatic, he just says, okay, occasional I am getting this, but on and off I am getting it actually. What we can do, we can start it directly with an anti-allergic like olopatadine or bepotastin or whatever which is comfortable for you. So in those cases, we will explain this to the patient that this is not going to work overnight. We have to give it time, okay? And then if we are planning to, if the patient is really symptomatic, then we can start it with the steroid and we'll explain it to the patient that initial 2 to 3 weeks, you will be dependent on steroid, and let this effect let this drug show its effect, then only it will be better for you. So we need to explain it to the patient what is our aim for this with this treatment. Then comes the question, very important question, how long to use. There have been studies which have reported that tacrolimus can be safely used even for for 7 years continuously without any side effect. These studies, they have reported 4 years, 5 years, and so on, without any side effect. So obviously, these are pretty safe. They do not have much of systemic absorption and so on. But when I prescribe this to any patient, I just say them that at least you have to use it for 3 months. Then only the things start changing. After 21 or 3 to 4 weeks, it starts showing its effect. But just to take the immune mechanism alter its course, it needs to have time. So that is how we should explain it to the patient. Then comes the question, which one to use, cyclosporin or tacrolimus? Always look for a sign. If we have a prominent papillae like this, I would go for tacrolimus, because they say that papillae just melt away with tacrolimus. Tacrolimus is really way too potent than cyclosporin. So if we have multiple signs over the lid, better to go for tacrolimus than cyclosporin. But as I said, both have them got their own advantage and disadvantage. Then symptoms and sign, as I said, we need to compare. Then is there any specific indication for preservative preparations like Unims? Unims are very costly. Restasis, I remember, it costs 2,600, and Cipla Immu-Drop is a little cheaper. So if the ocular surface is really compromised, very badly managed, and if the person is having multiple micro erosions, shield ulcers, those are the cases where I would go for Unim-based preparation mostly. There are certain neuroimmunomodulators, but nothing very striking. I mean, they are just there. So with this, I would like to say thank you to all of you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Mamta, for very lucid, very informative talk. I will first request to our guest panelist. Is there any question?
Mamta, I have some queries.
Definitely, please, sir.
You have clearly mentioned which age you say ki below that age a cyclosporin should not be used. I could not understand clearly.
Sir, below 2 years, I do not prescribe, sir.
Below 2 years.
No,
And
sir, I do not prescribe.
now allergy in pediatric cases is very increasing. So do you prefer to use a lone immunomodulator, or you prefer to use it when other modalities fail?
Sir, if we have a case of 1 or 2 year child, okay, so we need to know what exactly is causing this, because that kid is not going to school. So outer allergen is not the culprit there. In that case, we first educate it to the mother that do not put talcum powder and everything over the face. ये बहुत common है कि after every bath the mother puts the talcum powder over the eyes, lashes and everywhere. We need to stop that. Then, if we need to treat those patients, I will go for short-term pulse steroid along with topical dual-acting agents. Then comes the second age group where the kid is going to school and now they are kind of stuck with this computer or laptop or whatever, these mobile devices. Those are the cases we need to educate them first again. Like one of the simplest thing that I tell them, never keep the top of a screen above your eye level. You need to look at your cell phone. Like if I'm looking at my cell phone, there are two ways. I can lie down and look at it like this. Another is we can keep it here and then look at like this. If you are keeping it like this, this amount of ocular surface is exposed. Similarly, if the screen is way higher to our eye level, we need to be staring like this, right? So we need to keep the screen down and then see it. That is really important, first thing. Then comes, you said whether to go for immunomodulator alone. Obviously, immunomodulator alone will not be very sufficient in the initial phase. I personally use immunomodulators in chronic cases, sir. When the patient has been symptomatic for say 2-3 years in a row, or whenever he stops the drop, he starts getting the symptom. Those are the cases I would go for immunomodulators. I do not mix cyclosporin and tacrolimus. I use either one of them along with topical steroid if needed in pulse. Then allergic mast cell stabilizer, whichever it is, at least for a month or two. That is how I treat it, sir. Along with cold fermentation, cold compress, or like.
Yes, Sahabad Ophthalmical Society is very fortunate that our CSC Bihar, Dr. Vibhuti Sinha is here. Welcome, and I will request him to. Vibhuti ji.
सर हम तो सबका चेहरा देखने आ गए थे कि सारे लोगों का चेहरा देख ले कम से कम विदाउट मास्क
आप कुछ भी पूछिएगा तो that will be beneficial to us.
Great to hear from each one of you, sir. जो पैनलिस्ट हैं वो सर पूछे तो ज्यादा अच्छा लगेगा.
नहीं वो भी पूछेंगे.
हमको उसमें कंफ्यूजन होगा तो I'll be asking slowly. I'll be participating.
One question. One question from Dr. Mamta.
Yes, sir.
One question from Dr. Mamta. What is the definite indication of immunomodulatory agent in ocular surface disease? How long should it be prescribed, and when should we stop and taper them?
Sir, immunomodulators का रोल है इन्फ्लामेशन को कंट्रोल करना. Ocular surface inflammation जहां भी हो, जो भी फीचर मिले, like if there is a chronic hyperemia of conjunctiva, that means something is going on there continuously. If it is visible to us, well and fine. If it is not visible to us, something is definitely there, which is not evidently there, which is not very clear with the slit lamp examination. Then, whenever there is limbal stem cell deficiency because of this ocular surface problem, I will go for these immunomodulators for sure. Because those are the cases, they need long-term suppression of inflammation. And we cannot keep on using topical steroid in those cases. So those are the cases I will go for. If we talk about allergic conjunctivitis, if the patient is really having chronic allergic conjunctivitis, he stops the treatment, he gets it back, he stops the treatment, he uses steroid, he is happy. The moment he stops the steroid, even with antihistaminics or mast cell stabilizers or the dual agents, he gets it back. For those cases, I will definitely use immunomodulators. Then comes the question, how long to use? After taking a proper history, the patient and looking at the ocular surface, if the surface is really compromised, that means this is a process which has been there for years and years together. Ocular surface doesn't get deteriorated overnight unless there is some sort of chemical injury. That is a totally different scenario. So if the ocular surface problem is there, that means we have to continue the treatment. We need to make the patient understand that you will be needing it at least for a year or two. That is how the things are.
I think
okay.
Continue,
yes, sir, please continue, sir. Please.
Shall we continue it continuously for a year? The immunomodulators?
We can definitely continue, sir. I have patients who are they're on cyclosporine for two years now.
Yes, because many patients come the moment you stop, within a week or two they come back.
Oh, sir. Yeah, we need to. What I am following these days, I use one of the alcaftadine product. That is OD recommendation. If we go through by the pharma company at least, along with cyclosporine or tacrolimus, definitely with cold compression. Cold compression cannot be overemphasized because despite everything, despite using steroid, the patient will get occasional redness of that severe hyperemia. Those are the cases we need to make the patient understand.
Others to please mute.
Those are the cases who get severe hyperemia despite all the treatment. We need to make them understand. Put ice cubes in polypack or wherever, polythene or whichever. Put it over your lashes or lids. That is important. That is what works for me, for my patients.
Because you wanted to ask a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask. There are different strengths of cyclosporine available, 2%, 1%, like that. So what is the best strength to use? And number one. And number two, if you start with a higher strength, can you go down to a lower strength later on?
Yes, sir, that is what I do. If the patient is having inflammation, flare inflammation, I go for 0.1% cyclosporine. And gradually I shift to, after say 3 to 6 months, I shift to 0.05 and maintain on that. That is how I do it, sir.
And number two, how will you differentiate between a Shields ulcer and a bacterial ulcer?
Shields ulcer, sir, if you consider the surrounding first symptom, bacterial ulcer will be like very rapid in onset. He will have this purulent discharge. Then allergic conjunctivitis patient, they will typically give that we had this itching problem for a very long time. और अभी 1-2 दिन से ऐसा सफेदी दिखने लगा है. That is how they say it. When you invert the lid, there always will be a papillae corresponding to the, because the basic pathology is immune mediated plus mechanical damage. So there has to be a source of mechanical damage to the cornea. That is important. Shape of the ulcer and base of the ulcer. These Shields ulcer, they have this thick mucoid base. You can just scrap them like this and there would be clear base. In bacterial ulcer, even if you scrap them, the base will be very necrotic. That is not the case here in Shields ulcer, sir.
And
we
can
need
you
to
go ahead.
We need to differentiate it because the treatment protocol is exactly opposite. In bacterial corneal ulcer, this is like we can never think of using steroid. In Shields ulcer, steroid is the treatment, at least initial.
Can we expect a superadded bacterial infection on a
Definitely, sir. Definitely, sir. If the conjunctival hyperemia is very much, I definitely think in terms of, and plus the type of discharge. If the whitest discharge is there, probably I will not be very worried. But if the discharge is yellowish, even slightly, then I will treat the patient at least for next 5-6 days as bacterial corneal ulcer, and then only I will shift to Shields ulcer, sir.
And just one more query. What is the highest strength of cyclosporine available for ocular use?
2%, sir. 2% by Orolab Orosporin.
Dr. K.S. Gupta had some query.
Yes, sir, please.
Dr. K.S. Gupta, sir, please.
हाँ सर हो गया तो इसीलिए फोन कर रहा मैसेज जी सर जी
डॉक्टर के.एस. गुप्ता सर, आपको आवाज मिल रही है हम लोग की? आवाज नहीं आ रही है। प्रभात जी प्लीज देखिए उनको। अभिषेक, you have some query? Abhishek Kedia, do you have some query? Because this is one disease, I think every ophthalmologist, practicing ophthalmologist is facing some problem with allergic conjunctivitis.
How do you identify LSCD, Dr. Mamta?
There are certain specific signs corresponding to it, like first the history. The patient will be given a definite history, like long-term irritation, itching. Then if we are talking about other causes also, chemical injury or anything which is there, surface inflammation. Then thus, if we are talking about particular segment, then in that particular segment, there would be this conjunctival vessels which is growing over the cornea. Like the difference between conjunctival and the corneal vessel will be gone. It will just spread over it. Then in the corresponding segment, we will be seeing some sort of loss of corneal clarity. Not necessarily frank scarring, but definitely loss of opacity will be there. That is how.
Is it like uncommon or common in VKC?
In VKC, especially in neglected cases, you will see a group of patients who come to you where, say, around 10 or 11-year-old kid who had this problem for a very long time. And because of economical issues or unavailability of the services, medical facility there in that particular area, these are the patients who have not been treated. In these patients, you get to see LSCD associated with VKC very commonly. Otherwise, in urban area, not very common.
In our experience, we have seen very few cases of VKC associated with LSCD. But yes, as you say, in chemical injuries and all other etiology, we do. Thank you.
One very basic question can I ask?
Definitely.
Yeah. If a patient of chronic these allergic conjunctivitis presents to us with somewhat compromised kind of ocular surface, can we start these immunomodulators immediately, or will have to wait for these ocular surfaces to little bit recover before starting? So what is the protocol, or how do we go?
Those are the cases, sir. I will go for topical steroid at least for next 3 to 4 weeks, and we'll start the topical steroid and the immunomodulators at the same time. We are in a kind of practice where we need to satisfy the patient also. It's not that if we keep on just counseling the patient that dawa kaam karega, the patient will run off to some other clinic, that is for sure, and nobody wants to lose the patient. So we start the patient on steroid and immunomodulator together. Steroid gives the symptomatic relief that binds the patient to the doctor for sure. And then by 3 to 4 weeks, when the immunomodulators start showing their effect, then we gradually wean off the topical steroid and continue with the immunomodulators, sir. We definitely use the lubricant in this. Yes, sir, please.
Yeah, my question was a little different. If
Yes,
this
sir, sorry.
patient has got the ocular surface damaged to extent that there are some micro erosions or some kind of epithelial injury, should we start immunomodulators immediately, or should we wait for these micro erosions to heal up and then we should go for these immunomodulators? That is my
No, sir.
question.
With micro erosion, we can start the immunomodulators immediately. No problem at all. Like in cases of Shields ulcer, it's not that we need to stop the cyclosporine. We can continue it. If required, we need to give additional support or mechanical support over the given area. We can put a PCL if required, sir. But there is no need of stopping, or there is no need to, we don't really have to wait long for starting the immunomodulators. We can just go ahead and do it.
Okay, thank you.
Any more question?
For the benefit of the house, my question was related to limbal stem cell deficiency. So LSTD is limbal stem cell deficiency. Sorry for taking the short form.
Ma'am,
good that you clarified.
You told that there is residual pigmentation in VKC cases, limbal pigmentation. This is because of that allergic nature. Why it is caused, and is there any way to remove it?
No, sir. Actually, this has been found mainly in Asian population. In fact, the paper says that 85% of the Asian population, in this particularly in India, this was the paper by Srinivasan Rao. He said 85% of the patient develop this. And this is because of the chronic ocular surface irritation that is happening there. But there is no way to say that it will go up with this treatment. So it doesn't, it just persists over there.
Do you use immunomodulators in VKC?
Yes, sir, 100%, sir, definitely.
Yes,
yes,
that means all types of allergic conjunctivitis, it can be used.
Yes, sir. Not in simple conjunctivitis, seasonal variety. In those cases, I do not use, because those are the patients symptomatic for a very limited period of time. Otherwise, they are pretty okay. But in any chronic case of allergic conjunctivitis, I will definitely consider immunomodulators.
It is available in form of 0.03% and 0.1%. I think
my preference is 0.03%, because the burning sensation that the patient gets initially is very less with the 0.03%.
Because 0.1% is being used by a skin specialist.
And that is the reason, if I have 0.1%, at least initially I ask them to put it here over the lid margin, not inside the fornices. If the patient is okay, we can continue.
Okay. You said that cyclosporine at the age of more than 2 years. And what about Tecro?
Both, sir. Immunomodulators both. I use more than after 2 years of age.
Okay.
And cyclosporine is also to be used twice, or it is to be used twice? Talimus we use one. Tacrolimus.
Talimus we use once. Cyclosporine we use twice.
Okay.
That is the usual dose we follow.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mamta. And my request is, you please don't leave the platform.
Definitely not, sir. I'm going to stay here.
Because there will be more questions after Dr. Satanshu's talk.
Definitely, sir. I will be here only, sir.
Now I welcome Dr. Satanshu Mathur, and I request Dr. Amitabh Singh to please introduce Dr. Satanshu.
Good evening, everyone.
Dr. Amitabh Singh, you are getting my voice?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are getting my voice? Am I audible?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah.
Dr. Satanshu Mathur, sir, he does not need any introduction. He's well known to every one of us. But it's a formality to introduce him, so I am doing that. Otherwise, we don't need any introduction of Dr. Satanshu Mathur. After doing his MS in 1989 from Meerut Medical College, he started working in Sitapur Eye Hospital and then in Modi Eye Hospital. He is at present the Honorary Secretary of the SARC Community of Ophthalmology. He's the Chief National Coordinator of International Society of Manual Small Incision Cataract Surgery. He's the Honorary Secretary of Uttarakhand Ophthalmic Society as well as the North Zone Ophthalmic Society. He's the Chairman Scientific Committee of Equine. He's Joint Secretary of Family Benefit Scheme of AIOS. He's Executive Member of Intraocular Implant and Refractive Society of India, and he's also a state representative of AIOS. And what most of us won't be knowing, that he was the first to start the endo laser DCR in the country. He got his training done in Germany, and then he started doing laser DCR. He was the first one to start it in the country. Dr. Satanshu Mathur. Thank you.
Thank you, Amitabh. Thank you for the introduction.
Now, may I request Dr. Satanshu Mathur to please give his talk.
Thank you, SOS Society, for inviting me. Thank you, Sushil. Meibomian gland dysfunction, I have been asked to speak. We all know this is the dry eye has become a endemic nowadays because this COVID also. We are getting more and more with dry eye. We all know that bottles of dry eye. We know the TFM structure also. It has 3 layers. We know the most important is the lipid layer. Why? We know 2 types of dry eye. Till now, we were knowing only 1 type of dry eye, aqueous deficient. What we do, we do shimmer test, we say tear production is less, you have dry eye. We used to know this dry eye is there. But time has changed. Now we have found out the evaporated dry eye because of the MGD is the leading cause of dry eye. More than 76% of cases, what research has concluded. You will be surprised to know, I was in Philippines attending a conference on lacrimal disorder, and side by side in the next hall was going on dry eye. It was dry eye and nephrology conference. I saw whole 1-day conference on MGD. At that time, I was knowing MGD only that they are the glands on the upper and lower, nothing more than this. I was surprised what they are going to discuss for 1 day. I sit there and I came to know about that MGD at that time. We are not to have all the definition. We should know only one thing. This is the obstruction of the meibomian gland, and that lead to less secretion. And this cause the MGD. Obstruction and less secretion. This is a common MGD. This is the upper lid and lower lid. We can see the vertical placement, more in the upper lid, less in the lower lid. From here it is secret and then go to the outside. What is the pathophysiology? Simple word, obstruction that lead to degeneration, that lead to stress over the cells and cause inflammation, and MGD is caused. Why the tear film is important? We should know only one point about the lipid layer, that it provides a smooth surface of the cornea for the cornea. It reduces evaporation of the tear film, enhance the stability of the tear. There are 3 important parts of this lipid layer. What can cause dry eyes? There are many factors. Blinking inhibition, contact lens wear, age above 40, hormonal disturbance, medicines. There are many causes. Environment is one of the cause. Staying more time in the AC is one of the cause of dry eye. The important point for we practitioner come what? How we evaluate the dry eye. So we have symptoms, questionnaire. This questionnaire is given to the patient, they reply it. Then we examine the eyelid, meibomian gland, tear film, and ocular surface. What investigation we can do? We can do on slit lamp examination, mainly lid abnormalities. Then we can express the lid to see the meibomian gland secretion. We can do meibography, fluorescein staining, and tear film makeup. This investigation we can do in dry eye. What questionnaire we give to the patient? Symptom. What they are facing problem: redness, watering, burning, irritation. This is a symptom that we ask the patient to explain. Important thing is the redness, watering, burning sensation, sticky sensation, and nowadays what we are feeling more is sensitive to light. They are complaining of sensitive to light that give an idea the patient might have a dry eye. What we see in the dry eye, telangiectasia means blood vessels of the lid, anti-blepharitis, tenderness to touch, lid margin keratinization. This thing we can examine easily on slit lamp. What we see in the mobile glands is a mammography, mainly the duct atrophy. We see the atrophy of the ducts. And what we can try about the mobile gland, we can express fluid over from the mobile gland, and then we can see, we can express the fluid from the mobile gland, and then we can see whether they are obstruction or not. Color of the mobile gland is very important, that I will just let you know. Consistency of mobile is also very important. How can you clinically divide what category? If you express the mebum, it is clear that is no deficiency. It is cloudy, 1 grade deficiency. It is tooth-paste-like. It is 3rd grade deficiency of the MGD. In mammography, we'll just discuss loss, how much loss is there. Accordingly, we divide the dry eye and give 3 parts. In tear film analysis, what we can do? We can do TVUT. We can do TVUT pattern. We can do interferometry. This is very important. That will come one by one. How we diagnose dry eye? Tear film analysis. We have invasive methods. The quantity is done by Schirmer test. The quality is done by BUT. Schirmer test is, we all does know, this is invasive method, takes long time, uncomfortable to the patient. This tear film breakup we can see. This is stable tear film, this is thinning, and this is the breakup tear. Important thing is tear film breakup we can know by fluorescent dye. Just put in the eye, and blue filter we can measure on slit lamp. How we measure the slit lamp? This is where the tear film is breaking. We can note down by the watch that here tear film breaking. So we can know, but this is invasive method, take long time, not accurate, and not documented. So what is important? What is new in the dry eye diagnosis, which all should know, for which we are here. So we have tear film scan now available. These are non-invasive. They can document the things, and they can repeat the same thing again and again. And they can quantity measure the quantity. In the quantity test, we have tear meniscus height. In quality, we have non-invasive breakup time, lipid tear analysis, interferometry. So this instrument has totally changed the management of dry eye. From now, we can say we are advanced to a next level. Tear film dynamics, mammography, we all can see by this simple instrument. This instrument, keratogram, there are many instruments nowadays available in the market. How can we measure the meniscus height? You can see this is a lid margin, and this is the tear film height margin. And between this, we can measure 0.19 millimeter. So we can measure what is the height of the tear film meniscus height. Normally it is 0.22. If it is less than this, it means it is defective. It is non-invasive, it is repeatable. We can again get the same result. And we can document it also. This is Nibud, breakup time. The time elapsed between the last complete blink and appearance of the first, you can see the first discontinue of the Myers. So here the Myers are discontinued first time. So we can, this is the nomogram. From here we can normally 60 millimeters is the breakup time, 60 millisecond. So we can measure from there the what is it, normal or not normal. You can see this is the point where the tear film started breaking. Starting from here, then again these are points where the tear film is breaking. And this is normal. 16 is a normal, so we can understand whether it is deficient or not. And then we can tell the patient also. This is another very important of this instrument is the mammography. You can see this is normal mammary glands. This is the structural damage there. They are totally damaged. Severe gland atrophy. So we can see this is the 3rd grade of dry eye. We can divide like this. This is normal, less than 25% damage, and here is the damage more than 75%. So accordingly, they can divide this. Another is an important lipid layer. You can see this is the rainbow appearance. Rainbow appearance means the dry eye. Rainbow appearance means that there is a good stability of the tear film. Then tear film dynamics. When we ask the patient to blink, and as the patient opens the eye, they can see the movement of the particles in the tear film. And this movement shows us that consistency of the tear film. It is movement, if the particles are moving freely, it means the consistency is less, it means the lipid layer is thin. We can make a video of it by this instrument. Here you can see easily that is a rainbow appearance of the tear film. It is normal. If it is not there, it means lipid layer is deficient. Then this scan is very important in lipid layer. When there is inflammation, when the eye is redness, so we can know by this instrument what is the level of the red eye congestion. There is a normalized normogram is there. We can compare, and if the inflammation is more, we can start the anti-inflammatory drug. Now comes the therapeutic strategy. What are the strategy we have to do? Relieve the symptoms and re-establish them and maintain ocular health. How we can do it? Unblock the glands, restore oil delivery, restore tear lipid layer, maintain patency, and relieve lid and surface inflammation. Treat dry eye if present. So this therapeutic strategy we should plan whenever we are going to treat the dry eye. What therapeutic option we have, I am not going to discuss in detail because Dr. Sushil will be telling about it. Topical, oral, topical, nutritional, home therapy, surgical procedure. Dr. Sushil, I think you will be discussing about this. Tetracycline, orally, erythromycin can be given. Most important, I will come to lid height cleaning. We should clean the lid very frequently. We can use the buds. Lid massage should be done, upper lid and lower lid, and lid scrub should be done. Now, lid scrubs are available in the market also. Warm compression is very important. Why warm compression? Because these types of masks available in the market, you can microwave, heat in the microwave, and then can you use it hot, moisture. This is the advantage of this MediBit technology that which I am using here in my clinic. That this is microwave activated. Beads are there inside it, and the bead has the advantage that get hot and they keep long time effect on the eyes. You can you wash it easily. It is reusable. Nutritional, zinc fatty acid. Then I think this is Dr. discuss. This is intense light, but intense light and disadvantage they have to be repeated again and again. Lipid flow we all know. But I come to the important thing: heat application. Why it is important? When you give the heat by any means, the lipid layer efficiency increases by evaporation decreases, stability increases, strain decreases, cornea surface improves, and symptoms improve. So heat is very important. By giving heat, we can improve the lipid layer. We can decrease the symptoms and signs. Now, important question: why we should launch the dry eye center? I started dry eye center in my place 3 years back, and truly I tell you, I recovered the cost of the machine, and patients are more safe, happier nowadays. Dry eye syndrome is a growing area of ophthalmic care. Not treating it can cost your patients in your business. It will not only earn you extra income without your direct involvement because the test is done by the assistant, but it will give you edge over other ophthalmologists. As you all know, it is a chronic disease and needs continuous monitoring. The patient will keep coming to you regularly. Can you afford not to treat a condition that affects approximately 9 million people a year? That was 1 year back. Now more and more people are affected because of the COVID time or online study. Ability. You already have the training to do so, so no time to implement. No, you have nothing to learn more. How to get started? The first step is to make a decision to become a dry eye expert. First, you have to keep in mind, I have to become dry eye expert. Decision requires making a commitment to look for signs of dry eye during your clinical examination. When you are doing lab examination, you have to examine the cornea and lid very carefully. And deciding a treatment is then for affected patients. Technology. Advancing technology have elevated dry eye and ocular surface disease management. So you should go for these machines if you want to start a dry clinic. Investment. Many diagnostic tools available in market can purchase as per your budget. Initially, you can start with diagnostic instruments. Don't, because this is not very costly, but treatment part is very costly. So you can take it later on. In the meantime, you can have the mask, etc. for the treatment. This type of posters we can have in a clinic. This is outside my clinic. So patients come and see themselves. They read everything. They say, doctor, these are problem with me. They automatically come to me without my motivation. They come to me, sir, we want to get it checked by machine. What is a dry eye? So this type of chart should be in your clinic. By dry eye checklist, patient can see themselves, blurry vision, redness, burning. The patient can see themselves that what problem they are having, and then they can ask you themselves. Thank you very much.
Committee talk.
After G.
Very nice talk, sir. Very elaborative. Every time I listen to your talk, I always feel like every one of us should have a dry eye clinic. So what is the cost of this machine which you have?
The machine which we purchased initially, that is the diagnostic only, that is costing around 5 to 6 lakh rupees. When I purchased it, that was costing 10 lakh rupees. It is topography inbuilt in it. So I have inbuilt topography and this dye scan together in a machine. But nowadays, simple dry eye scanner are available, which are costing around 5 lakh rupees. You can get all the diagnosis, and the treatment part, we can do this mask and we can do the massage and we can decide which type of lubricant we have to give.
So nowadays, like there are a lot of machines in the market which are promising good results with the treatment. So which one would you advise?
Treatment results are really very good with LipiFlow. I have tried the LipiFlow and IPL both. LipiFlow advanced treatment is really very good because I have a demo machine for both for almost 6 months. But LipiFlow treatment is really very good because it lasts around 1.5 years. And IPL result, you have to repeat it every 6 months. And you have to IPL you have to give 4 times in a month. And then you have to repeat after 6 months. LipiFlow you have to give 15 minutes only, and then you have to repeat after 1.5 years.
Vibhuti ji.
Sir, I have a question here. Can I ask?
Yeah, I will especially skip that treatment part because Sushil is going to cover it.
No. Yes, Dr.
Yeah, Dr. Mamta, please. Dr. Mamta.
Sir, if meibomian gland, like they are atrophied, I mean, they have this bunch of this. So LipiFlow and everything can work only if there is certain amount is there. So do you have any cutoff like less than 30% if your meibomian glands are there, I will go for this. Is there anything like that?
Yeah, Dr. Mamta, number one thing, it depends on the symptoms of the patients also. If the patient is having a problem and damage is more than 30%, then still we are going with the eye drops only and the face mask only. If the damage is more than 50%, then we go for the LipiFlow and the treatment. Sometimes the patient, Dr. Mamta, patient has a computer operator. He has to operate 7 to 8 hours in a day. In these cases, we have to start the treatment, surgical treatment, laser treatment before that, early, before the damage.
Yes, sir.
To prevent the damage. To prevent the damage.
Vibhuti ji.
Thank you, sir.
बहुत अच्छा टॉक था सर सतांशु सर.
डॉक्टर विभूति है तो सब बढ़िया है.
आपको जब भी सुनते हैं तो थोड़ा तो कम से कम ड्राई आई पे we always get involved with the dry eye and new thing. एक ही क्वेश्चन था कि कोई ऑल्टरनेटिव अपार्ट फ्रॉम क्लिनिकल एग्जामिनेशन जो इंस्ट्रूमेंट आप बोल रहे हैं उन इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स के अलावा कोई इंडियनाइज्ड इंस्ट्रूमेंट जो कि उसका ऑल्टरनेटिव हो.
आपको याद रहेगा तो नहीं.
Please, others to mute.
Dr. Vibhuti.
My question was that apart from the clinical examination.
Arvind ji mute कर लीजिए. Arvind ji mute कर लीजिए. Yeah.
My question was that कि apart from the clinical examination, do we have any alternative of these high-end machines like we have lower-end phacoemulsification, lower-end every alternative for these machines are available in India. So do we have lower-end micro keratoscope kind of things for that?
Till now, what they have come with the mic in the market, they are selling around 4 lakh rupees with the slit lamp attachment. They are attaching with the slit lamp.
Okay.
Cheapest available in the market with all this mammography, with interferometry, with BUT, they are selling around 4 lakh rupees.
So slit lamp adapter, kind of slit lamp adapter kind of.
Attachment. But if we do not have all these things, We can
why this question was asked, because Nilesh is also here. So I thought of asking this question. Maybe he'll start doing something like that.
And second thing, Dr. Bibhuti, if you do not have this instrument, the careful examination of the slit lamp of the lid margin, where we can see the moving gland ducts easily, we can visualize them in the magnification. We can open the ducts also on the slit lamp, and then we can get the good results. So this
any infrared device will work, sir. Any infrared device like AutoRef or OCT also, there you make the patient sit there, invert the lid and try to see the meibomian gland. That also gives us an idea, sir.
That's true. But Dr. Mamta, advantage of these machines that we can do.
Not comparable.
Advantage of these machines is there that the patient is satisfied to continue the treatment, because dry eye treatment is a long-term treatment.
Yes.
And to satisfy him to that, he has to use the drug. He has to go for the legal treatment. That only he is satisfied when we demonstrate them. We have the document.
Yes,
and we prove after the treatment that your glands are improving, beauty has increased, meniscus height has increased. So you have betterment if you are going for betterment. So for documentation is very important to have.
Yes, sir. And definitely there is no comparison between that machine and the.
But we can start dry eye without the instrument just by examining the lid margin, and that is definitely going to help you in the future. Because most of the patients after surgery come to me, many patients after surgery come to us by complaining of the irritation. We show them, we do free of cost. We show it out them to the gland, because you have dry eye. They go back easily, satisfied, no complaint feature.
This is a very
good strategy, actually. Saving ourselves.
To supplement Dr. Mamta's observation, Dr. Raghuvans has once shared a photograph he took of meibomian gland on AutoRef.
Yes, we do that.
That was a fantastic photograph. I just remember that.
Many a times you will see thickened, completely cicatrized lid margin.
Yes.
And these patients, they complain of like typical symptoms of MGT. You just take the patient to AutoRef and you invert the lid and try to see the meibomian gland. If the meibomian glands are completely atrophied, even if we keep on saying the patient do hot fermentation, obviously the patient is not going to get relief much, because the meibomian gland is not there to act. So that is one way, that is something which is really helpful in our practice. But definitely that is not a supplementation of what Mathur sir said.
Dr. Mamta, if we examine patient carefully on the slit lamp, we can diagnose 50% dry eye there only. But we never examine patient on slit lamp properly. We can see the moving gland opening also there on the magnification. We can open by the needle there on the spot. We can open it. But these things are important nowadays in premium eye. When we are going to implant the premium eye, we always do the dry eye test. Free of cost we do it, just to secure ourselves the future is not going to cause any problem. So these treatments are helping us in so many ways. Only not the diagnostic dry eye, saving us in the future litigation.
Also, yes.
Always in every premium line we do dry eye test free of cost.
Sudhanshu sir.
Yes, sir.
Is there a role of?
You are the boss, sir. I am not your sir.
Everybody is a sir. Is there a role of probing in meibomian gland, sir? Any role of probing the meibomian gland?
Yes, sir. Probing, you mean opening of the ducts of the meibomian gland. Yes, sir. That's why I have told you.
Right.
Yes. That's why I told you on slit lamp you can open the long glands and then you can keep the heat, and that will remain open for a long time.
Okay. Nilesh, do you have any questions you wanted to ask?
No, sir. I think the question I wanted Pranav sir asked actually. I wanted to ask like if the MG capping is there, can we probe? Sir asked that
yes,
question.
we can. We should. On slit lamp we can do it.
Yes, sir.
Under magnification.
Since everyone is silent, may I ask one more question?
Welcome, sir.
Sudhanshu sir.
Welcome.
Your experience since you're treating these patients and you're running a dry eye kind of clinic, what is the kind of proportion of patients like post-operative patients, patients with comorbidities, patients with different kind of diseases, so patients on glaucoma medications? What is your perception of percentage of patients belonging to these different groups? Or in other words, what are the common type of patients who are presenting with these MGTs?
truly speaking, at present, we have no number of cases, the young person, teachers, persons who are the computer, the software engineers, computer organs. Because the glaucoma patients, they are using long-term medicine. They are already using, they don't never complain of this type of complaints, that dry eye. But in post-operative cases, we have seen many cases coming with this problem of the irritation. And then we are definitely finding the pre-operative patient has no complaint of irritation. Post-operative patient is complaining of irritation. And we find that dryness is there. So it is more in the cases of SICS surgery in comparison to phaco surgery.
So any reason for that?
Yes. Maybe in season we are cutting more conjunctiva, we are cutting more in the limbus area, we are giving bigger incision. That may be the reason. Dry eye more in the SICS in comparison to phaco.
Is this BAK is responsible for all this? Because in prolonged treatment,
in the cases we should not use the BKK. That's why eye drop did not be used more frequently. We should use only 3-4 times. It is preservative.
Sir, what is your normal post-cataract surgery protocol? Like, do you give combined drops? It's a little out of perspective, but I just wanted to know.
We give antibiotic and steroid separately, because antibiotic has to be stopped after 7 days, and steroid will taper in 15 days.
And like, do you give prophylactic tiered supplements?
No, we start tier substitute after 7 days in every case. When we stop the antibiotic, we start tier substitute, because so many drops to be used by the patient get them irritated. So once we stop the antibiotic after 7 days, we start this tier substitutes in every case.
And how long do you continue them?
We start up to give them 1 month.
Up to 1 month of surgery.
Yeah, tier substitute.
Any drug which you think can increase the chances of occurrence of MGD, like
that
popular drugs.
Does use the systemic problem, that prostate problem, antidepressant drugs. These causes the dry mammary dysfunction, MGD problem.
Dr. Mathur, there is one ethical question. Usually patients come for refraction, and they do not need to write any drops. But patients कभी-कभी बोलता है कि नहीं डॉक्टर साहब कोई दवा लिख दीजिए. Should we write lubricating drops or not? This is one ethical question.
As far as ethical question is concerned, there is why a patient should not be written any medicines. Number one thing, patient is some problem. He is complaining of irritation in the eye. He never asked for general eye drop. He asked for sir थोड़ा बहुत खुजली रहती है मुझे. थोड़ी बहुत. He complaining of the problem. Then we have to we cannot give anti-allergic to each and every patient. Then you can substitute with a 0.5% lubricant, because 90%. I truly tell you, Dr. Sushil, if you do dry eye test, 90% patients will find dry eye nowadays.
Hello, sir.
So,
hello.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
What are other people's opinion about this ethical problem? Dr. Vibhuti?
Somebody is asking a question. आपके लास्ट स्टेटमेंट से सर हम एग्री करते हैं कि now the percentage of patients suffering from even mild kind of dry eye is quite high. So a lubricant as a placebo is, I think you can't deny these things in present context also. When people are working more and more on system or mobile, everyone is working. So if you have to give, you can give supplement always with one lubricant.
And there is no which type of patient you are getting. More housewives are coming now with the dry eye problem, because housewives are using more mobile phone nowadays, and they are coming with the dry eye problem.
So I think either everybody is a mild dry eye patient or they are future dry eye patient.
Yes.
So there is no harm in writing.
So this is the high time we should start dry eye clinic in our setup.
Rungta sir.
Yeah.
Rungta sir.
Yes.
Yes. Rungta sir,
Dr.
are you
Milin.
listening me? Rungta sir.
No,
I am
not sleeping. Yeah.
Hello.
Sir, Rungta sir, there is no harm in prescribing 0.5% patient after 40 or 50 years of age, because age is itself causing decrease in tear and there is some fund body sensation. Menopausal lady usually comes in the clinic and gets very much relief when you prescribe. So I think there is no harm in prescribing CMC drops.
So I understand. Most of us agree that lubricating drops can be used even if it is not needed. And it is a better situation. जो पहले के जमाने में जब lubricating drops इतना popular नहीं था, तो we were writing antibiotics like Presbo. तो उससे better वो ज़्यादा problematic था. अभी ये better situation है. अच्छा, एक चीज पूछेंगे दोनों स्पीकर से कि Moisol is FDC preparation. This is cheaper also. 44 rupees में आता है. Why it is not popular? Moisol. ये बहुत पुराना, rather number one product है ये. सबसे पहले FDC लॉन्च किया था, बट इट इज नॉट पॉपुलर. नोबडी इज राइटिंग Moisol.
सर पहला तो इथिकल क्वेश्चन हो जाएगा कि अजंता वाले ऑब्जेक्ट करेंगे. सेकंड पार्ट ये आएगा कि FDC has never approached doctors like the other companies are approaching. Their reach is now limited, and that's why they have lost the market. My perception is that.
That's true. They are not coming to my place.
Yeah.
And if we talk about, if we talk about the molecule per se, not the brand. Okay. If we can compare CMC versus HPMC, sir, HPMC has got better property, in fact, better wettability, better retention, but at the same time, it causes crusting over the lid margin, which is actually very irritant to the patient.
Right.
That crust which forms after HPMC use is really irritating. That is the reason most of the people have shifted to CMC.
So after these two lucid talks, do you want that third talk should continue because everything has been covered?
नहीं सर, आपको बोलना चाहिए.
आपका सर्टिफिकेट पार्ट रह गया सर, डॉक्टर सुशील.
ठीक है. Yes.
I have skipped that part. I think I have skipped that part. You have to speak it.
Sir.
कौन सा ये ना? इधर नहीं आ सकते. Yeah. So this is dry eye management. Most of the things have been covered by the two learned speakers, but I will try not to repeat the things. No financial interest. This is one of the most common conditions seen by eye practitioners, and tear substitutes are most often prescribed. I've used the word abused eye drops by ophthalmologists. And this is the lacrimal functional unit consisting of tearing apparatus, ocular surface, eyelids, sensory and motor nerve connections. And when there is aging, dry environment, hormonal changes, medications, especially females when they are on hormonal replacement therapy, contact lens wearer, blepharitis or autoimmune disease, if they have express deficiency or meibomian gland dysfunction or even goblet cell dysfunction, there will be abnormal or insufficient tears, which will reduce tear clearance because the tear will be more concentrated, and this will increase osmolarity, which will cause irritation, and it will cause increased cytokinase, which causes inflammation. So the whole surface is deranged, and our aim of treatment, our aim of management of dry eye is to provide healthy ocular surface. So these are the provoking factors for dry eye: excessive splashing of water on eyes. In the end, I would like to discuss with the learned speakers कि बहुत से लोग अभी भी बोलते हैं, even ophthalmologists, कि आँख में पानी रोज सुबह सुबह उठ के मारना चाहिए. I am against this. तो इस पर opinion हम जानना चाहेंगे बाद में. And poor ocular hygiene, extended visual tasking, माने screen time is increasing. That is also the positive. Smartphone आने के बाद खास करके. And associated local conditions for dry eye may be eyelid malposition, lag of thymus, any neuromuscular disorder of the eyelid, and trauma to the eye or eyelid, orbital surgery, radiation, chemical or thermal injury, even post-LASIK there is dry eye. These are the basic tests already covered: tear breakup time and different type of staining. Though we usually use fluorescent staining, but the better staining methods are rose Bengal staining and Lisman green staining. Then server testing and osmolarity nowadays is also done at higher center at least. So these three are the basic tests. Any two of these, if positive, indicate dry eye syndrome. And other tests are also there. For example, nasal lacrimal reflex, serum autoantibodies, meibomian gland evolution already covered, and tear protein analysis nowadays being done, though it is less specific test. But the tear replacement alone is not always successful. Causative factors are to be attended appropriately. What we have to do is to stabilize the tear film, increase lubricity, increase aqueous protection. We have to try to decrease inflammation and create a more normal tear film environment for epithelial growth. So these are the different options we have as far as artificial tears are concerned. The oldest one is polyvinyl alcohol with fluoride and iodine, then cellulose derivative products, glycerin containing products, oil-based emulsion products, polyethylene glycol and propylene glycol product. And different brands in the market without any financial interest. What should be the ideal product for dry eye management? It should be preservative-free, minimal blurring, comfort upon installation, and pH should be neutral or slightly alkaline. Ability of product to spread evenly over the cornea quickly and efficiently, prolonged retention time for extended efficacy, and optimal osmolarity should be there. So there must be balance between viscosity and elasticity. I will not go into the detail of this, what is viscosity and what is elasticity. But elasticity is just that if we stretch a rubber band and when it comes back to its position, that is elasticity. And if the viscosity of the product is increased, there will be blurring. And if elasticity is decreased, there will be less retention time. So we have to maintain the balance between two. Now the recent trend is pharmaceutical companies are trying to reduce BAK concentration because many times this BAK is the culprit in their product. Many products are being made preservative free. Many products are being prepared in the form of minims, though they are costly. Replacing BAK with some other safe and newer preservative in low concentration. For example, sorbic acid, and there are so many others. So, yes, so there is a long list of preservatives being used from very past. All these causes may cause at least pigmentation, irritation, or allergic reaction and toxic feature, and this may damage to the ocular surface. This BAK is more notorious, and this may induce apoptosis, that is cellular death. BAK increases concentration of inflammatory markers on ocular surface and also on trabecular meswork. This explains why glaucoma and OSD are sometimes detected as concomitant disorder. So the trend is now to go preservative free. Topical steroid or NSAID medication is sometimes useful when there is inflammation for short term. However, careful monitoring is mandatory in these cases because of steroid-related complications like glaucoma and posterior subcapsular cataract, in addition to increased chance of local infection. For more severe diseases, topical immunomodulator such as cyclosporine may be rewarding. This cyclosporine A has been approved by FDA for treatment of dry eye also. Reduces conjunctival inflammatory markers and increases conjunctival goblet cell numbers. There are other options also: autologous serum drops, autologous platelet-rich plasma, mucous membrane grafting, salivary gland autotransplantation, amniotic membrane transplantation. I think most of the centers are not doing this, but we must know what these are the different options. LipiFlow, Dr. Mathur has well explained about this. LipiFlow treatment, this is a device that applies heat and pressure to the meibomian gland to liquefy and evacuate obstruction. And this omega-3 and 6 fatty acid has got definite role. This reduces inflammation and this inhibits the synthesis of pro-inflammatory mediators and inflammatory markers. Oral doxycycline can be used in all patients with dry eyes who have significant component of meibomian gland disease. These tetracyclines, it has been proved that these products have this anti-inflammatory action also. Diabetics are more prone to dry eye, hence thorough screening is desired. Vitamin A deficiency is an important factor for dry eye. Thyroid function must be assessed. Proper sleep for 5 to 6 hours lessens its incidence. water intake should be improved. And we have so many newer drugs. I think out of all these, the Repipamide is available in India, and about others I don't know. Androgen ointments, lepicerts, chloroquine phosphate, eye drops. I don't know if these are available or not. And punctal occlusion is one other option. It's a good tear conserving method, and should be considered for patients with aqueous tear deficiency when medical means of aqueous enhancement are not useful. It can be temporarily done by punctal plugs or permanent occlusion by thermocautery, radiofrequency, needle or argon laser canaliculoplasty. And we can prevent dry to some extent by avoiding hot, dry, dusty, smoky environment and to add moisture to the air to avoid excessive use of AC. और अगर AC हम लोग बहुत ज़्यादा use भी करें तो direction face की तरफ नहीं होना चाहिए. To avoid excessive air movement or windy conditions. और अगर है भी ऐसा windy conditions तो उसमें we must use glasses. During swimming we must use goggles, protective goggles. And to take frequent breaks while watching TV, reading or prolonged working. Screen time थोड़ा कम करना चाहिए और screen time अगर ज़्यादा है भी लाचारी में तो बीच में pause जरूर देना चाहिए. To position the computer below the eye level, frequent blinking, to stop smoking, both active or passive, to use hot compress and eye massage in MGD. So the take-home message is start symptomatic treatment and earliest detection of the cause and its early management. Just increasing frequency of drop is not always useful. Rather, it may aggravate the dryness, and we have to customize the treatment. Thank you.
Very nice and lucid talk, sir. I would like to know in which cases do we need to start glycerin eye drops, like CMC with the glycerin?
If there is evaporative, the cause is mainly because dryness may be because of less of tear production, and the other cause may be evaporative. So if there is evaporative component more dominant, glycerin, this will be more useful. But I think Dr. Mamta will like to add to this.
Sir, hello. Hello.
Yes.
Sir,
Dr. Mamta, please. Yes.
Someone is asking something. Okay, if you ask me, see, glycerin is just an addition. It is not the primary demulcent of any lubricant. The primary demulcent is the like carboxymethyl cellulose or polyvinyl alcohol or whatever. What glycerin does, it gives the extra edge to that lubricant. It gives the osmo protection. That means it will have a little more capacity to retain the water. So many of the products you will see in market, something is having just CMC. As sir said, Moissanol Simple HPMC has 0.3%. But at the same time, another product which is there like iMist, which has got HPMC plus Carbomer. That means something more is there to to retain the water, to hold the water, and that is where the role lies. It's not that glycerin is the primary demulcent there. It's not the glycerin is the primary lubricating agent. It's just the addition which is there.
Okay, Dr. Mamta, how to take advantage of different type of staining? Because the surface will be stained in so many conditions. So how to differentiate? It is dry eye, it is keratitis, and it is something else.
Sir, we have mainly three types of stain. One is fluorescent, another is rose bangle, and third is Lissamine green. Rose bangle, almost no one is using these days because of ocular irritation. So that leaves us just the fluorescent stain and the Lissamine green. Both of them are easily available. Both of them, they have got their own advantage. Fluorescent is helpful for corneal pathologies in general. Lissamine green is for conjunctiva. But now with yellow filter of slit lamp, we can see the conjunctiva very well with the fluorescent also. Fluorescent dye also.
Hello.
So
hello.
Then, sir, shall I continue, sir?
Yeah.
So now comes the question, the use of stain in cases of dry eye. In dry eye, we have two basic reasons to know this. If you're talking about stain, we need to know what
प्रकाश सर
kind
म्यूट
of
कर लीजिए. प्रकाश सर म्यूट कर लीजिए. Yes, yes, ma'am. Continue.
Yeah, we need to know what kind of dry eye it is. See, for aqueous deficient dry eye, it's mainly the Shermer test, right? But Shermer test is not very authentic. That is not very helpful in usual situation. That gives a very variable result. That and another portion is evaporative dry eye, and third portion is the mucus deficient dry eye. So if you talk about evaporative dry eye and mucus deficient dry eye, in both these cases, the tear is not staying there over the ocular surface. And that is the prime importance of using these stains. If the conjunctiva is getting a stain, that means the conjunctiva, which should normally be covered with the mucoid substance, is not covered. That is the reason why it is taking the stain. So if the conjunctiva is taking the Lissamine green dye, that means there is a component of mucus deficient dry eye also. If the tear breakup time has decreased, like in severe dry eye cases, you ask the patient to blink, the moment they open their eyes, you will get the dry spot. Suddenly black spots appears. That means there is not enough lipid over the tear film to hold it even for a second. That is the lipid deficit dry eye. So this is the prime importance of using a stain in cases of dry eye.
Second thing, Dr. Mamta, one important thing, till now what we have been taught that we do shimmer test. If the shimmer test is less than 20, we say dry eye. If it is 20, 25, we say no dry eye. But concept has changed totally. The dry eye is more and more the evaporative time. So shimmer test has lost its value.
Yes,
it's not lost totally, but if the shimmer test is normal, we cannot say the patient has no dry eye.
You cannot say. Exactly.
Shimmer test basic test, even if it is negative, okay, then even then we have to go for dry eye because the evaporative dry eye cannot be diagnosed by shimmer test.
Dr. Milind, any comment from your side?
No, nothing. It's okay. Very good. Only one question.
Yeah.
If a severe patient of dry eye working in AC for 10 hours, what should be advice for them?
If a patient is having a sir, can I answer this?
Yeah.
If the patient is primarily a dry eye patient, that is another situation. Second one is environmental or work related dry eye, right? If the patient is mostly having this dry eye symptom in their working condition, not otherwise, that means we need to educate the patient about the working condition, and we need to increase the frequency of lubrication only when he's working. Not that he has to use it 6 times in a day, then he has to like partition it morning, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, not like that. 9 to 4 उसका work है, उसी बीच में वो 6 बार कर ले. And जैसा बाकी सर ने बताया कि he need to realign his system, then take frequent pauses. And another important point is blink. If you are working on a system, what happens? We just blink, but blink is not complete blink. Blink is only effective when upper lid touches the lower lid and this spreads the tear film over the entire surface. That is the complete blink, and that is what is efficient. When we are working on a system, even if we are blinking, we just do a partial blink. This is not complete blink. So we need to educate to the patient that they need to blink completely. We need to show it to them. We need to make them do it in front of us. That is the importance, sir. Other than lubricating eye drop, I feel.
And one more thing, we always tell this type of patient that you have to stop working for after 1 hour. You have to stop working for 5 minutes. Take up the position, rub your eyes with your hand, and massage your neighboring glands, and that is the best thing because blinking is not possible for them. Even we say you intentionally blink, they cannot do it repeatedly. So after 1 hour, they have to give rest of 5 minutes, sit at their place, just rub their eyes, and then start working. And this patient, this is the only thing. Because this is they cannot stop the working. They have to work. They can get rest of 5 minutes every hour.
I have one advice.
Yeah.
Sir.
Welcome.
In our country, our AC is not humidifying AC. The water content of the air inside the AC room is already evaporated by the AC. So always keep a bucket of water or glass of water in front of the AC anywhere, so that the room humidity is maintained. I think so.
And sir, you should drink more water when you're sitting in the AC. That is another.
Is it effective in that way?
Only
Yes.
water, sir, na?
विभूति जी
Only
आप
water.
कुछ कमेंट करेंगे
Yes, sir,
कि
only water for sure.
he says that one bucket of water should be kept in the room and that will increase the humidity. Is it effective really?
In our country, it's not a dehumidifier AC. It's only the humidity gets lost from the room.
That's true, sir.
The humidifiers are available, sir, online for
If the air is humid,
So they can be
you'll
used.
have a less problem. I feel so.
Dr. Mathur, I have a question for you. That suppose to conserve the tear, we did punctal occlusion by thermocautery. And suppose at a point of time, I feel that now tear production has increased because of some treatment. How to reopen that punctal thing? Just by slitting or by some other device?
Normally, if you do only the punctal cautery, it reopens itself within a month. It is not a permanent. You have to. That's why whenever previously when we were doing surgery, patient was not doing interested in DCR surgery. We used the punctal block. It reopens after 1 month. So that's why nowadays what we do to block it, we are doing the punctal block. We are inserting a material inside the caloric line.
But that is
that
very
keeps the
costly.
block for 6 months or to 1 year. Punctal block will reopen itself. One question to all of you: which lubricant drop people like to prefer and why?
Which
Lubricant eye drop.
Ajanta ka jo hoga, sir.
Not in the normal patient.
Rather should be modified like this. Which lubricating drop should be used in which condition? HPMC.
If it is confirmed dry eye, because you have no instrument to diagnose which is lipid layer, it is mucin layer, or it is aqueous deficiency. So which will you like to do it? Number one. Because
that we can divide into mild, moderate, and severe type of dry eye.
Ajanta people are sitting here because they have got a very good
soft base
by name of Rivasil. And still my patients are coming asking me, sir, this drug is not very good effect. It has a very good effect on lipid layer, Rivasil. That was Riperamide. But they have stopped it. No other company in India making it. That was the advantage of doing this test only, because if the lipid layer deficiency was there, we will specifically give this Riperamide. No other company is making in India, but this has a very good result on the patients. Lipid layer.
Dr. Mamta, how will you manage recurrent type of VKC? Because many times we use this steroid, tacrolimus, lubricating drops, and even then every month they used to come with this recurrence, VKC, severe forms. How to manage?
Sir, in most of the cases, compliance of the patient is poor, sir. That is the prime reason. They use steroid, they become happy, then become, totally lenient about it. अब तो ठीक हो गया. So, in addition to the drop,
I have seen a case, 2-3 केस ऐसा जिसमें ठीक हो ही नहीं रहा है.
Sir, अगर नहीं ठीक हो रहा, if papilla is the problem, like big papilla there, then we can go for supratarsal tricot or dexamethasone, sir. That works well. Because if we have already used immunomodulators and different form of steroid, so supratarsal gives, sir. Definitely.
Dr. Deepak had some query. Dr. Deepak, please.
उनका सर इतना बढ़िया सेशन है कि मैंने ब्लिंक नहीं किया है, मेरी आंख में दर्द हो रही है.
नहीं, लेकिन ब्लिंक करना है.
रुमता सर. रुमता सर.
हाँ, मनोज जी.
हाँ सर, एक क्वेश्चन है. Why you avoid the splashing of eye?
ये इसलिए कि what I think is it disturbs the natural tear production. It disturbs because tear is 3-layer structure. And जैसे ही आप पानी डालेंगे, lipid तो wash हो गया. तो इसलिए the normal configuration of tear film is disturbed. But I would like to have comment from all the three, Dr. Mamta, Dr. Mathur, and CSC.
Ideally, we should avoid the splashing of the water over the eyes. Number one thing you are told, eye has already the protected by the layer, and the splashing will wash away the tear film. Number one. Number two, the water, if it is not clear, there can be infection bacteria in the water. This can again cause the conjunctivitis. So ideally, it is not advisable if people are coming from outside, what they can do, by closing their eyes, they can wash their eyelids to prevent any whatever is sticking on the eyelashes. But we should never put the water inside the eye, because it will damage the normal tear film. Tear film has got not only water, tear film got chemical, you can say lipid layer, it has got mucin, it has got the proteins, it has got so many things that will wash away.
So you agree with this case? There should not be splashing of
That
water.
should not be done now.
Splashing also
Unless-
help in the
unless there is some foreign body.
Yeah, unless there is foreign body.
Sir,
What
sir, splashing is also help in wash out the allergen.
Exactly. What I suggest to the patient, if he's a young kid and he's coming back from school, or if he's coming back after playing outside, he should wash his eyes. That is my advice.
That means
Otherwise, I
removal
don't
of
ask them
foreign
to
body.
splash.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Or removal of anything, any allergen which is there. That
But
is
it
all.
should not be like this कि every day.
It should.
Morning में उठ के आँख धो रहे हैं आप?
नहीं वो नहीं.
बिल्कुल नहीं.
If you feel
Sir,
grittiness, yeah, Ravi ji.
Sir, my advice is, forceful splashing, just mild splashing, it will kill. It will do its job.
No, I think it should not be a regular thing. जब
नहीं,
आपको grittiness लगे तो बस.
ऐसा नहीं है सर कि दिन में हैंड वॉशिंग की तरह पूरा स्प्लैश किए जा रहा है. मॉर्निंग में बाहर से आने के बाद तो कर ही सकते हैं.
That's the true. If I'm coming from outside, just to wash you can do, but not as looking. आपको सोएंगे गोट के धो रहे हैं मुंह. This is not allowed.
बहुत लोग पूछता है ना कि सुबह जब तैयार होते हैं तो आंख में पानी मारते हैं. मार सकते हैं.
नहीं वो
हम यही कहते हैं कि अरे आंख में तो भगवान आंसू देवे क्या यार, बार आंख में क्या मार रहे हो.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. I want to speak one thing regarding one question you asked, that a recurrent attack of VKC one patient is getting and is not responding to regular medication, and supratarsal injection of Tricot was recommended. I want to add one more therapy, sir. You can use autologous serum. That works much better than using Tricot. Supratarsal injection of Tricot. And second point,
how to prepare it?
So you can draw 5 ml of patient's blood and you centrifuge it, and then serum will separate. Then you take out that serum, remove that supernatant fluid, and serum you collect, and then you can put in the 0.1 ml should be 0.1 ml should be mixed with 0.9 ml of carboxymethyl cellulose, and you can use the patient. That is a better idea. I've seen many patients responding well to this. And second thing I want to add is regarding the splashing of water into the eye. So what thing happens is most of the dry eye, now the dry eye diffraction has changed drastically. Now it is hyperosmolarity, which is due to recurrent attack of inflammation that is causing dry eye. So what happens is you are splashing water. What you are doing is you are replacing your tear film. Nothing more you are doing. So that vigorous exercise should not be promoted. And I think dry eye condition should be managed with all the dry eye, means 90% of dry eye clinics which patients which we are getting is now inflammatory dry eye, not that classical dry eye in which we used to put tear film containing carboxymethyl cellulose. So start the treatment with soft steroid and try to put the patient on immunomodulators like cyclosporine or tacrolimus, like that. You should move from that. That will be the better idea. Now the dry eye has shifted its course, in my opinion.
Thank you. Any comment from Dr. Kumar Amrendra?
Dr. Sushil?
Yeah.
This is cyclosporin or other anti-inflammatory drugs which should not give in every case of dry eye. We can give only when there is associated inflammation for long time with dry eye. Otherwise, there is cyclosporine is not very required in such cases.
So one thing more is dry eye means one study I will quote in which they have collected the tear film for many patients with dry eye.
Your video is not coming.
Sir,
now it is visible, sir?
No.
Now it is visible?
No. You can speak, sir. You are audible, sir.
Sir, one thing I want to speak that they have collected many tears of dry eye patients and they have analyzed their composition. The patient in which inflammatory markers were high, that patients were well responding to whatever medication you give. You give anti-inflammatory, you give carboxymethyl cellulose tear drops containing. And the patient in which inflammatory markers are not increased, they will not respond to anything. Sometimes patient will complain that my pain ho raha hai, but will not understand this is not dry eye. This is dry eye, but you're not getting the answer for it. That is the neuropathic pain which is coming into picture. So we should be aware of these findings also. This is my take.
Thank you very much. And प्रभात जी ये Mr. Gaurav हैं?
No, sir. Today he is not here.
Anybody from your
Mr.
side?
Pawan is there. He is our product manager. He is there. Pawan sir.
Is he interested in talking to us for 2 minutes?
Pawan sir. I am calling him, sir. You please continue.
Okay. So. Ma'am, cyclosporine A stand for?
A and B are different types, sir. I mean, they have been two molecules which have been separated.
Pranavji, you wanted to?
No, I just wanted to ask.
Yeah.
What is the role of chloroquine eye drop preparation? I mean, Dr. Rohit Sethi has been advocating and propose this molecule a lot.
Yes. Dr. Pranav, chloroquine eye drop is available now made by FDC. It is very useful. I have tried in many cases when it is associated with inflammation. This eye lube is available, this chloroquine, that is giving good results.
Yeah. Especially there is a report from Western India, sir, where it is very frequently used. But it has to be used at least for 3 weeks in continuation, and then only, as with other immunomodulators, then only it starts showing the effects.
We use only when there is associated inflammation. This is really
Yes,
very helpful.
mainly an inflammatory route, anti-inflammatory route.
Chloroquine has become versatile molecule in everything. Corona se
Yes, Corona is really more versatile now.
Because it has got marked anti-inflammatory action. That's why. But it should be a reserved drug.
Rather, I prefer chloroquine eye drop in place of cyclosporine because cyclosporine has got much irritation in the eye, lesser tolerant to the patient. But chloroquine phosphate eye drop is very much tolerant, very effective in refractive cases of dry eye.
So you people are using it regularly?
Yes, I am regularly using.
I have used it in few cases, not regularly, but
is this eye lube, na?
Sir, eye lube, UV lube. So that's why Dr. Sushil, that's why Dr. Sushil, when I show you this catograph,
slightly costly.
When I show you the catograph, there was a bulbar redness criteria also there, compared to the normal. If the bulbar redness in the patient is more than compared to the normal nomogram, then we use this cyclosporine, this UV lube, this chloroquine, then we start the drugs, and this is really very helpful. Not in each and every case of dry eye. These are not the first line of treatment.
No, Pawan sir is there, sir.
Huh?
No, Pawan sir is there.
Yeah, he is interested in speaking.
He can.
So now, because Ajanta people are really helping technically every time, and we are very much obliged to them. And I will request Mr. Pawan of Ajanta Pharma to say a few words.
सूखे सब निपटा दिए।
यही तो एडवांटेज है वेब का, तो यही एडवांटेज है।
आज तो सर एमजीडी था, आज तो ड्राई आई था,
आज तो ड्राई आई था ही।
ड्राई आई
नहीं, इसके बाद हम we will be having dinner.
Eat dinner.
Yeah. Yes, just Mr. Pawan, please.
Thank you very much, sir. On behalf of entire Ajanta family, sir, I literally thank you all of you, because this is a continuous, this has become an association between you people and us, because you are giving us opportunity continuously to connect yourself. But it is not only you, that we all are associated with all of you, and your connections, our connection, our association is becoming stronger and stronger because of this website today. So we can say that though we are not, I am not meeting you all personally, but I can say that today I am very much known to all the doctors, and thanks to all of you for giving us opportunity to conduct this session.
Your video is not visible.
Just a second. Just a second.
You want to say anything about your products?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
पवन सर फर्स्ट ऑफिस वाले बताइए।
जी।
Yes.
सर आज मैंने का पूरा सेशन सुना सर आज, उसमें मतलब आई डोंट नो, एक ये चीज जरूरी है सर कि जैसे टुडे कि नॉट ओनली दिस ड्राई आई डिसीज इज जनरली रिकॉग्नाइज्ड एज इवेपोरेशन है या फिर देयर इज सम डिसऑर्डर, बट टुडे इस पे होम्योस्टेसिस, हाइपरऑस्मोलरिटी, ऑक्यूलर सरफेस डैमेज, ये सारी भी चीजें इंपॉर्टेंट होती है क्या सर? बिकॉज जितना भी अभी ये ड्यूज टू गाइडलाइन जो लेटेस्ट आया है, they are going beyond this evaporation and disorder, that dry disease is a evaporative disorder ऐसा कहा जाता था, लेकिन they are going beyond it. They are talking about homeostasis, they are talking about ocular surface damage, they are talking about this hyperosmolarity. So all the things are very much critically associated with dry eye. So not only managing this today evaporation, not only managing this other things, but at the same point of time, it is very much important to manage homeostasis, manage hyperosmolarity, manage ocular surface disease, equally important. So इन सारी चीजों में जो ड्यूज गाइडलाइंस कहती है, उसके हिसाब से अगर हम देखते हैं तो आई शुड से सॉफ्टविस इज वन प्रोडक्ट विच फिट्स ऑल द क्राइटेरिया. सॉफ्टविस में सर हमारे पास जनरली आता है आपका, एक तो सबसे पहले हमने उसमें हाइलोरनिक एसिड देके रखा है जो विच टेक्स केयर ऑफ लुब्रिकेशन एंड इम्प्रूव्स ड्राई आई सिम्टम्स. बट जो अदर कंडीशन है, जैसे आपका देयर इज सर्टेन अमाउंट ऑफ इन्फ्लामेशन कभी होता है, तो डीपैंथेनॉल प्लेज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल एज अ anti-inflammatory. When there is hypertonicity induced osmoregulation करता है तो mental osmoregulation, taurine plays a very important role, और homeostasis maintain करने के लिए electrolytes भी सॉफ्टवेयर में डाले गए सर. So all these collective efforts, I can say, when a person is suffering from dry eye disease, a comprehensive treatment today is required for dry eye management, which we feel. And Softvis is one product where it gives a comprehensive treatment for dry eye management. I should say माथुर सर ने उनको बहुत MGT में उसको बहुत अच्छी तरह से समझाया है. रूंटा सर ने जो एक्सप्लेन किया प्रॉपरली, उसको ड्राई को पूरा एक्सप्लेन किया. लेकिन कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव मैनेजमेंट जितनी चाहिए सर आज की डेट में, वो सॉफ्टवेयर जरूर सेटिस्फाई करता है सर आपका कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव मैनेजमेंट ऑफ ड्राई सर. आई शुड ऐड. एंड सर एक क्वेश्चन सबके लिए मेरी तरफ से एक था सर कि आज की डेट में ड्राई एक चीज हो गया. आप सब सर, मुझे ये मेरी क्यूरियोसिटी के लिए जानना है कि क्या एस्थेनोपिया पे उतना ही अनस्टडीड है आज की डेट में, कि उस पे भी स्टडीज की जरूरत है एस्थेनोपिया पे?
डॉक्टर ममता प्लीज. He's asking
Asthenopia is gradually it is becoming very painful because kids are getting involved all the time, spending in front of screen. It is affecting their eyes. The accommodation is completely or working all the time. So there is a, especially if you are looking at the system, what happens अगर आप कोई print पढ़ रहे हो तो there is a sharp change in contrast. आप पढ़े और there is a difference. बट अगर आप डिजिटल डिवाइसेस पे कुछ पढ़ रहे हो तो ये जो जिस तरह का ब्लिंकिंग होता है वो हमारे एकोमोडेशन को, इट डजंट अलाउ द एकोमोडेटिव मसल टू रिलैक्स, एंड दैट इज द मेन रीजन व्हाई this asthenopic symptoms we are getting these days, especially in the kids. So definitely there has to be some protocol, to manage it. There has to be something definitely needs to be done, needs to be taken care of.
Right, ma'am. So this was all about softness and yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Pawan.
Yes, sir.
Why this rivaroxaban has been stopped by you people by making it? Because it has very good effect on the lipid layer.
Which one product, sir? Which product?
Rivasir.
I have to check, sir. I have recently joined 1.5 years back. I have to check, sir.
Okay.
Right, sir.
But 4 months back it was available.
Yeah.
अभी lockdown में
Actually,
थोड़ा
I
सा
think because they
इसमें-
stopped making it now.
ओके प्रभात जी कुछ बता पाएंगे इसमें कौन सा जो प्रोडक्ट की बात
रेबा
कर रहे
सर
हैं
सर एनवेक्स का सर प्रोडक्ट है एंड सर दिस इज अवेलेबल इन द मार्केट सर ड्यू टू लॉकडाउन इफेक्ट इट मे बी सर फॉर सम टाइम इट इज नॉट अवेलेबल देयर
No, you have stopped production. I have come to know through your company that you stopped the production.
Okay.
So
इसका
I will be first in my place.
नहीं एनवेक्स वाला बंद कर चुका है सर, इनको नहीं पता। ये
पता नहीं है।
ओके प्रभात जी आप देख के बताइएगा उनको।
मैं जरूर एक हेल्प कर सकता हूँ आपके लिए सर। मैं एक काम करूंगा, मैं अपनी टीम से पूछूंगा वहां पे और आपको करेक्ट इंफॉर्मेशन दे दूंगा। दैट इज
person who was using most maximum number of your machine.
नहीं
Right, sir, right,
this area.
Yes, before vote of thanks by Dr. Ravi Ranjan, I have got few small announcements related to BOSS. एक BOSS की general meeting है for all the members on 30th of this month, 30th of September from 6:30. Please जितने भी लोग यहाँ हैं और सुन रहे हैं वो लोग उस मीटिंग में जरूर आए। ये BOSS की मीटिंग है। दूसरा है कि रवि जी से मैं बार बार रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ कि SOS का रजिस्ट्रेशन जरूर करवाइए, उससे हम लोगों को प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व
हो जाएगा सर।
तीसरा थैंक्स बाय डॉक्टर रवि रंजन प्लीज।
हाँ रवि बाबू आ जाओ।
सबसे पहले भैया थैंक्स। अच्छा, आई एम थैंकफुल टू एवरीबॉडी on behalf of Shahabad Ophthalmological Society for making this 4th wave meeting successful. All talks were quite issued. A special thanks to all speakers, Dr. Satanshu Mathur, Mamta, Dr. S.K. Rungta, for the informative talks. We are really wiser now by their talks. A big thank you to all the chairpersons, panelists, and program coordinators. My sincere gratitude to our honorable guests, panelists for their interactive participations. I will like to extend a special thanks to Mr. Ajanta Pharma, Gaurav, Pawan, is there somebody, Dhirendra?
Prabhat ji.
And Prabhat. Thank you all and good night.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
It was a great association. Thank you. Nice session.
Okay, thank you everybody.
Satanshu boss.
Thank you, bhai. Thank you, SOS.
Special thanks to both the
Ravi,
speakers.
thank you, Sushil. Thank you, Vijay, and everybody.
Satanshu boss.
And Pranav ji,
to all of you from the Shahabad Ophthalmological Society.
Special thanks. We are very much obliged कि you are here.
नहीं सर, कल आप लोग
It is always homecoming coming to Shahabad Ophthalmological Society in Bihar. All over Bihar.
अरे आप तो पहले से हो।
I am there in the society also for a long time. So it is a homecoming. Very good.
Thank you, Abhishek ji, Dr. Nilesh, Dr. Amrendra Anand.
Okay, sir. Mumta sir, good
Thank
night.
you, sir. Thank you.
Good night. Good night.
Okay, good night, sir.
Good night, sir. Thank you very much.
Good night, sir.
Good night. Okay.
Oh, good.